Well, good morning, gardeners. This is Vicki in 5B, and I just wanted to show you on the progress that I'm making. Okay, so this is the tree that I was taking the ring that was around it and the all of the mulch that had been built up on top of it and pulling that back. I did do that, and then basically what I ran into was underneath this layer. This is topsoil that I put down, but underneath this layer I ran into all of the tree's roots, which had grown up to try to get, moisture and oxygen and all that stuff. And I didn't feel comfortable leaving all of those open and exposed, because air pruning, doesn't that just mean that all of those roots would die? So I covered it back with some topsoil, and I've kind of, I'm trying to have it like gently grading into my grass. And then I'm going to plant this. I'm going to put some sort of ground cover or something on top of it, and then just leave it be. And I don't know if any of this helped it or makes a difference, but I'm hoping that it makes it so that the tree is more able to breathe and start doing better. So if you haven't been following my story, I have a large tree limb that broke. Let me show it to you. You can see right up there. You see that? So this large limb broke off, and I knew that this tree was struggling. I've done multiple videos where I've talked about that, but I wasn't expecting it to start falling down. So it's opened up quite a lot of canopy now in my yard. My shade garden is now more dappled shade, I guess, than shade. And I still have this huge mess to deal with. My boyfriend has been sick and working, and we just really haven't had time. I mean, I could have cut all this down, but with the chainsaw, I don't know. I'd rather he do it. So in the meantime, though, I took those brick stones, whatever you call these things. I made this new border extension here. I've got to add some more cardboard and mulch to this part, but as you can see, I've just extended out my shade bed by a couple of feet using those stones. But that's not all. Let's go over this way to my future rose garden. And this is where the remainder of the stones went. So I had to leave part of this wall up on this side to prevent all of that soil from just going downhill. But I kind of turned it so that instead of continuing around the circle, it now wraps around this way. And I was already planning on planting rose bushes. In fact, they should be arriving in the next, some of them will arrive on Tuesday, and then I have about 10 more that are coming toward the end of September. So I was already planning on planting them basically in front of this, whatever this hedge is right here. Please pardon the grass and the weeds. I promise you I am working on it. It's just, there's a lot. So I've got to get all of this. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plant the roses. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the cardboard all around them on the edges. And then I will go back in and cover it with mulch or compost, whatever I can find for cheaper. And that is what the plan is for this whole side of this level. This is what I call the third terrace, or the upper terrace. Now, I already have some roses down here that I also need to kind of get the grass pulled out and mulched around that. And I already have two right here. This one is Tchaikovsky, and this one is Distant Drums. They've only been planted for maybe a couple weeks, so probably not going to do much till next year. This whole level right here, behind this hedge, I currently have some cannas, and then just, as you can see, grass and weeds. But next summer or spring, my plan is to get this all cleaned out. And I'm not exactly sure what I want to plant back here, because since I'm going to have roses on this side, and I have to come in and trim this hedge right here down. I'm planning to do it every spring. Just cut it down to about 1.5 feet, 2 feet tall. Because I don't like it when it gets really big, but I want it to be like a backdrop for the roses. I do like it at this stage. I think it's pretty, the fresh green growth. It all goes straight up. It's not splaying out everywhere and blocking like 8 feet of my view. So this is like the perfect level for me. And I just want to maintain that. So since I have to do that from one side or the other, and I figure that it's going to be hard on the side where the roses are, I'm planning to do it on this side. So whatever I plant on this side needs to be perennial, perhaps, because every spring I'll have to get in here and cut down this hedge. So yeah, I'm planning on pretty much doing perennials all along this side of this garden. The cannas are going to get, well, actually they won't even grow back because I'm in zone 5B and they'll just die over the winter. But I do plan to move some cannas, because I always have them coming back from seed, down into my next level terrace, which is also terrible looking. So next year, this middle terrace and the top terrace. That's my goal. Garden along the front of the house doesn't look bad. Aside from this tree mess, my shade garden doesn't look bad. And then down here at the very bottom, my lowest level terrace is really good. I just finished that. Finally. You can't really see the whole thing from here. Sorry, this is kind of a bad video, but that's another thing I wanted to mention. Next year, I'm planning on getting a better camera and working on my videographer skills, I guess you could say, so that my videos are better. Because I know once my garden starts looking better, then hopefully I'll have more views and hopefully I'll get more followers, and I just want the quality all around to increase. So this is my front border garden. There's a lot of holes in it right now because I dug out all of my hydrangeas, and I will be replacing them with roses, because this part of the garden is almost full sun all day. I know you can't really tell right now because it's still early morning, but there will be full sun here almost all day. It faces south. So, and aside from those trees on the east, I don't have any trees blocking the sun from this direction. And go back around to my side yard and show you the hydrangeas. Okay. So, what I did was I tried to vary them. So this one here is a panicle. I want to say it's a quickfire. This one is some sort of either Invincibelle Spirit 2 or Ruby. I'm not sure. This one here is a Firelight. This one out of all of them that I transferred is doing the worst. Its leaves are kind of curled up. I think it might lose quite a bit of them, but I'm not too worried. The plant should still make it. I've been watering the heck out of it. It was just probably the biggest one, and I should have cut the buds off, but of course I didn't. Here I've got another Invincibelle or Ruby. I don't know what this one is. These two, one of them might get moved because I'm trying not to do the same plant side by side. Here's another Quickfire. Another maybe Invincibelle or Ruby. Another Quickfire. Another Invincibelle or Ruby. This one is a Lace Cap, which this one looked pretty bad yesterday, and it's already bouncing back. It's probably my biggest one, actually. Another Invincibelle or Ruby. and then a bobo. So if you've ever seen I think it's called North Flower Lawn or North Lawn Flower, something like that. She gardens in Pennsylvania. I believe it's 6B, so one zone ahead of mine. She has a ton of hydrangeas all next to each other. I wasn't going for a hedge, but I wanted to block this wall because the weeds grow out and it's just not attractive, and it's a lot of work to hand pull them all the time. So I thought the hydrangeas will do better in this east side where it gets more shade, and also they'll block this wall, so that weed problem should go away. But anyway, my point was that her hydrangeas that are all just different and kind of jumbled together, I love the way that they look. I don't want a hedge of all of the same kind. I wouldn't really like that. I've never intended to do a hedge. I just ended up moving them over here because they were getting too much sun. And then, like I said, I was like, oh, this is going to really help disguise my stone wall with the weeds problem. So that is what's going on there. This tree right here is a butterfly magnolia. It gets beautiful yellow magnolia flowers in the spring, only for a couple weeks, but they are pretty. As you can see, it's still pretty small, and I do plan to prune this at some point, but I'm just kind of letting it grow right now so I can see the structure, because I want it to be a multi-stemmed shrunk. I don't want just one, and I haven't decided yet which ones I'm going to cut. So eventually this will grow up and be, I think it's like 15 to 20 feet tall, something like that, and wide. And then I have another tree that I planted over here, which is a greenspire linden, and it is sending up some what do you call those, suckers. I'm gonna have to cut those down. But otherwise it's doing pretty good. It's just one tall single stem. I got this tree on clearance, and to be honest with you, I kind of wish I got a different tree, because looking at the photos of these online, I don't think they spread out much from side to side, and I was really just trying to create a little bit more shade on this side yard, because even though it's already partly shady due to these trees in the front, in the afternoon sun, sorry about my phone keeps in that upper left corner, it keeps, my case is old and it needs to be replaced, and it keeps getting in front of the camera. Anyhow, my house, so the sun sets on the other side of my house, and once it comes over to that side, it is actually pretty hot over here on this side of the yard. And I have this giant, I think it's a silver maple. It's either going to have to get cut down or cut significantly back, because it loses a lot of branches, and we did lose one large limb on our roof last year, and luckily it didn't do any damage, but it really scared me. Like, if this enormous limb here that goes all the way across my roof, if that were to fall on my roof, it would destroy my house and possibly kill someone. So as soon as I have the money, I plan to get this limb right here, probably that entire limb, cut down, which is going to create a lot more sun in my yard on the east side. And I don't really want that. I wanted a shady area of my garden, because the south side is all full sun already. And, you know, I just want a cool place in my yard where I can retreat to when it's too hot. All right. So that's what's going on there. I also have my hedgerow here that I didn't really talk about, but basically I'm just slowly filling in to create a barrier between my house and my neighbor's house. There's no fence here. And also, you know, just to give a backdrop for whatever I do end up planting in this space. All of this grass right here, eventually I plan to get rid of. Probably only going to leave the strip of grass on this side, which is basically in the shade, and get rid of all of that on that upper level. Over here against my shed, I just cut back some, I think they're daylilies. And then I've got a climbing Zephyrin Druine rose. I need to get a trellis still for it. I just planted that about a month ago. Over here I've got just a little bed with an evergreen. I took this plant from a teeny seedling. I believe it's one of the babies of those trees in the front up there. But anyway, I planted it here. And then I've got a couple of hydrangeas. These are vanilla strawberry or strawberry vanilla, whatever they're called. And then I have some hostas and daylilies just kind of planted around it. This bed just was kind of spontaneous because I got a bunch of hostas and daylilies off of a Facebook group and decided to throw them in there. I'm going to actually move the daylilies because when I planted them I didn't know what color they were, and they're just that yellow. Just, I don't like the yellow ones, honestly. Kind of like an egg yolky yellow. So those are either going to get moved into my hot garden or moved into my front terrace where I have a bunch of just everything. So I'm less concerned about color back there. Or maybe I'll just give them away. I don't know. And then coming back in here, okay, pardon this mess. These branches and stuff are all from that same tree that fell up front. But this is what I call my hot garden, or my bog garden. And I've got a sweet spire bush, that's the tall one, growing out. More of the free hostas that I got off of Facebook. And this is actually a temporary place I just put them. I'm trying to get people from Facebook to come get some of these because the person I got them from just had way too many, but she wanted to get rid of all of them. Got some cannas here that are probably, let's see, I think this is an 8-foot fence, so I guess they're 9-10 feet now because I got some down there that are even taller. But anyway, that is a geum right there, that biggest one. I already talked about this before, but I got this plant and this one and that one and this little teeny one right here. I got those all from my fish store. They were listed as bog plants. And they did have the scientific names. I was just a dummy and didn't take a picture or anything. So actually I'm going back today. I'm going to see if I can figure out what those plants are. Because I don't know if they're going to be cold hardy in my zone or if I should move them into my aquariums for the winter. But anyway, they've been growing just fine in my little bog area. And then this big mounded one is a columbine. So obviously I got some big cannas back there. This is my Pennisetum foxtrot. I have been trying to figure out what this plant is called, and I think yesterday I saw a video and somebody said Scots, what did she call it? Scots grass, maybe? I'm gonna see if I can look that up. Anyhow, I was like, oh, I think that's what I have, and she named it. And it's amazing, you guys. I put just a tiny little bit of this in last year and it's already spread this much, and I think it looks really cool. And because this is kind of like a river that goes into this bigger little pond area, I'm gonna let this fill in as much as it can. I actually added some more over here. I'm also slowly filling in with garden soil and stuff, so that's why you can still see the liner. This used to be a river slash pond. The little waterfall was at that end, but I didn't like it. It was too much work. See my prior videos for more explanation on that. So I turned it into a bog garden and I'm liking it much better now, and I think it's a really cool feature back here. I periodically fill this up and just let it slowly drain because I drilled a few holes in here and there along this liner, and it just slowly drains and acts kind of like a bog. So anyway, my foxtrot Pennisetum, there's some late planted lilies back there that I'm not even sure if they'll come back next year. I was very late getting them into the ground this year, They have not flowered. I don't expect them to. Here I have umbrella grass and also, I believe it's cattail grass that I transplanted here, and it's doing great, spreading. I really, really like that feature. And unlike I used to have, my elephant ears used to be in here, but then I would have to move them at the end of summer because, again, I live in zone 5B, so I can't just leave them in the ground or they'll die and won't come back. So this is a much better solution because both of these will come back every year for me. This one that has the big leaves with the kind of a blue appearance, that is a Rudbeckia maximus, and it really needs more sun than that, but I'm very much hoping it will still grow there because it grows so tall, and I didn't have anywhere else in my garden that I thought it would fit. And you know, even if it grows super tall here, because it's recessed in the ground a couple feet, the flowers from my deck over there will still be, you know, kind of at eye level. So I just thought that will work out perfect. It's kind of exotic looking, and so we'll have to see if that gets bigger next year. Over here I have a Don Juan climbing rose that I recently planted, so it's not very big. I'm gonna have that climbing up my fence. And I don't remember the name of this. I used to have this in my front terrace, but it was burning up in full sun. So I transplanted it and it's looking much better now. This gets little yellow flowers on it, and I don't know, it just kind of has like little delicate leaves. I like it. That is another African daisy, I think. Not daisy, lily, something, I don't know. It was over there with those, but it was like behind that grass and it wasn't getting any sun, so I moved it. The problem with this area is that the whole thing is kind of part sun. It only gets about maybe 3-4 hours of hot sun during the day when the sun comes in between these two houses. So that's south facing, and when the sun comes up and over, that's when this area lights up. But then when it goes over further that direction, either their house or my fence starts blocking off the sun once it gets down lower. So everything back here has to be okay with that shorter period of hot sun. And a lot of tropical stuff actually does well. Like this is all of my house plants that I put out for the summer. I call this my house plant patio. And well, actually some of them I don't put in the house, like my elephant ears and this castor bean plant I would normally store in that sliding glass room off of my garage during winter. But some of the stuff, like this really pretty cactus, the aloe, snake plant, I don't know what this is called, but it's another kind of cactus. This is supposedly a peperomia. I don't know. I've never done great with this plant. And this, just some little various, that's a pom-pom tree plant that I almost killed. I had it down in the basement in my son's room on an automatic timer, which he turned off to plug his laptop in and just never turned it back on. And I wasn't checking on it frequently enough, so it was basically in the dark and not getting watered hardly, and it almost died. This plant right here, I'm planning on, this is the castor bean plant. I'm planning on planting this next year in another room that I'm creating. And this is like super embarrassing, so please pardon what you're about to see. But this area up here, I grew vegetables up here last year, and I did nothing at all with it this year. So this is where my, it's so bad. This is where my air conditioner is, and my, what do you call that thing? Compost turner that doesn't work is back there. Anyhow, you guys, this is another big project for next year. I'm going to pull all of this stuff out. These side beds right here are going to be all planted up with tropical plants. Going all around here. These are some volunteer tomatoes and potatoes from last year that probably won't produce anything before it gets too cold. But anyway, over here in this corner, I'm going to plant a Ladybanks climbing rose. If you know anything about those, they get enormous. And then I'm hoping to eventually train it up over this whole wall. So I can't remember all of the specific plants. Like, I know I'm planning to put some umbrella plant. I'm planning to get some more black lace elderberries and plant them along this wall right here. Some of my potted plants will end up getting moved into this area because underneath all of this grass, believe it or not, is concrete. So yeah, I have quite a mess back here to clean up. I've just basically ignored this whole area, but it's going to be turned into an extension of my tropical garden, and next year it will be looking much better, provided I have the time. All right, well, this turned into a long video. Wasn't intending for that to happen, but that's how it goes sometimes. I hope you guys will catch the next one, and please like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks.